Alright guys, as promised, I've got a deck tech for Athreos, the God of Passage. I also, got a protection because that was kind of the theme while I was building the deck, was protection from. This is pretty fun deck that I was making just for fun. I was kind of looking at my cards, at the collection I had. I really wanted to build an Athreos deck, and I wanted to have kind of a theme to follow, and I wasn't really sure what to do. I was looking at the black and white creatures. And I was like, a lot of these creatures have really awesome protection from abilities. So I decided to just clump a bunch of good value creatures slash protection from creatures. It has a pretty low CMC, and with Athreos only costing 3, it has really nice built-in Wrath protection. Excuse me. I run 36 lands. The CMC falls with about a majority of the creatures costing 3 or less mana. This is definitely a 1v1 deck, even though I'm playing not French ban list, but no one really does on MTGO. But yeah, this is pretty much a 1v1 deck because with how low the CMC is, I don't think I would be able to deal ever enough damage to take out 3 opponents. I would get taken out as soon as anyone has a pretty strong board state. The utility lands I have, of course, I have Bajuka Bog and Boseiju, the Cabal Coffers and Urborg combo, Reliquary Tower, Strip Mine, and that's pretty much it. Everything is your standard fanfare, 36 lands. For artifacts, or not even artifacts, here, now that we have that out of the way, what we'll do is we'll sort based on color. Alright, so for white, I have Land Tax, awesome card. Sarah Ascendant totally is a broken card. Soldier of the Pantheon, protection from multicolored. Swords of Plowshares for some removal. Beloved Chaplain, protection from creatures. This card is pretty awesome with a couple other cards in this deck. Stoneforge Mystic to grab some of those swords that also offer protection. Avid Mind Sensor to control because we don't really run too much tutor effects. Ablation, Mirren Crusader, Mystic Crusader, Paladin and Vec, all 3 have really strong protection abilities. Mystic Crusader has an awesome threshold ability. Heliod and Angelic Field Marshal to give my stuff Vigilance. Commander Isha, another protection from creatures. It's just awesome. Crusading Knight. This card is fucking bonkers. Protection from black. Gets +1/+1 for each swamp your opponents control. With Urborg, they would all be swamps, so this guy would just get fucking massive. If I'm playing against mono black, he's just impossible to beat. And one of the only instances where I think this would be fun playing in a multiplayer setting, because all those swamps, this guy would be fucking massive. I've got Elspeth Knight Errant, Hero Bladehold for some value, Return to Dust for some removal. Sublime Archangel is a kind of an odd inclusion. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it in here when I rebuild this deck a different way. Ravel Arc, because my CMC is so low, my creatures are really easy to get back. Baneslayer Angel has protection from demons and dragons, which has only come into really awesomeness once or twice. But the Flying First Strike Lifelink protection from demons and dragons, it is a really good all-around package. Cathar's Crusade makes it so I don't really mind playing such a low CMC. Karmic Guide just for some fun. Nahiri the Lithomancer to grab back some equipment that might go to the yard or to make some soldiers. Austere Command, I can most of the time safely destroy creatures 4 and greater and it won't affect me too much. Elish Norn to pump up all my little guys. Luminate Primordial is a really good card. It is more of a multiplayer card, but for some reason added it in here. I think it was for the Vigilance. Then Achroma, the awesome of Wall of Abilities, Flying First Strike, Vigilance, Trample, Haste, Protection from Black, Protection from Red. Holy shit, that's awesome. Reanimate to grab back some of that stuff once it goes down. We're in black, by the way, if you haven't noticed. Blood Artist is really good wrath protection, especially if you have Athreos out. They have to decide if they're taking 4 for each dead creature. Excuse me. Demonic Tutor, just for some tutoring. Dune Rider Outlaw, one of the few cards that has protection from green. Also has a pretty good ability at the end of each combat step, or at the end of each End step. At the beginning of each end step, I will get this eventually. Beginning of each end step, if Dune Rider Outlaw dealt damage to an opponent, put a +1/+1 counter on it. This can get pretty nuts if you're playing against any kind of green decks. Dark Imposter has one of the best abusable removal that's over and over. Victimize, get rid of some of the small guys to get back some of the bigger guys so I can try to win. Phyrexian Arena for some card draw. Phyrexian Crusader because it's got protection from red and white, one of the few creatures that does. Also, the Infect does come into play if I'm circling the drain and need a way to win. Cryptghast for doubling some mana. Graveborn Muse, drawing some more cards. And this was kind of why I went with the protection route. Cairn Wanderer is absolutely fucking nuts. I mean, imagine having Commander Isha or the Beloved Chaplain into your graveyard and an Acroma. He would have protection from creatures, from red and white. You'd have First Strike, Trample, Haste, Flying. This guy is awesome for a 5-drop, especially when you're running a lot of abilities built onto your creatures. Grave Titan is there for more added value. Sepulchral Primordial definitely is another multiplayer card, but this guy is pretty awesome. Still Moon Cavalier, protection from white and black. Awesome! Mortify for some spot removal. Righteous War is a pet card of mine. It's one of those cards that I want to play more often, but just, I mean, it's not that great, but when it's awesome, it's great. White creatures have protection from black, and black creatures you control have protection from white. So all of these dual color creatures are going to have protection from black and white. That is just really fucking sweet. This really does come into play versus the, if I'm playing against mono white or mono black, this is an awesome card. Sorin to pump up my little guys. Utter End is just really good spot removal. Deathbringer Liege to pump up the little guys. Divinitive Pride has flying and lifelink and usually is an 8/8. Teysa has protection from creatures and vigilance and a really strong ability. Ashen Rider is a good finisher. Debt to the Deathless is a great, awesome finisher. I need to say it a few more times. Great. Going down, we already looked at the lands. I have Mana Crypt and Soul Ring, Gilded Lotus, Solemn Simulacrum, Chromatic Lantern, and Burnished Heart for mana ramp. A lot of my guys are lower toughness or power, so Skull Clamp is an awesome card. Sword of Feast and Famine, Sword of Fire and Ice, Sword of Light and Shadow, Sword of War and Peace, all for giving my guys more protection. Sword of Light and Shadow doesn't really find very many homes for me, but this is a great deck for it because I have lots of ways of kind of like behind the scenes recurring my creatures that die in the form of Athreos, the Sword of Light and Shadow, and the few reanimation spells. And then Akroma's Memorial, another awesome card to give everything Akroma abilities, usually a finisher in its own right. So, that is Athreos, the God of Passage, or, Athreos, the God of Protection. Really fun deck. I made it to be funsy, and it ended up being actually pretty competitive, as you guys have seen. I know I've streamed with this one quite a few times. But, yeah, it's a really fun, enjoyable deck. Started because of Cairn Wanderer and Righteous War being pet cards of mine. What are some really awesome decks that you guys have built because of pet cards? Building around a card that's not your general. I would like to know that. And as always, thanks for watching. Thanks for all of the support. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of the week.